The marketing for this movie has said it is the best serial killer film since Silence of the Lambs. And with a $22 million opening weekend at the U.S. box office, people certainly are interested to see if that's true. Let's talk about Longlegs. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new film Longlegs. Everybody is talking about this. It's in theaters right now. Nicolas Cage features in it. He's not the star of it, but he is a part of it, and he produced it as well through his company, Saturn Films. So before we launch into the specifics of this movie, let me welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. We've got movie and TV reviews on the channel, and just about every day, something new goes up. So there's always a lot to check out. With that in mind, please consider subscribing, click that like button, comment below. All that stuff, of course, helps the channel out, and I certainly do appreciate it. All right, so the basic premise here of the movie is there is an FBI agent tasked with tracking down an occultist serial killer, and she's played by Maika Monroe, who got her start with this great psychological horror movie called It Follows years ago. She's done actually a few horror movies since, so she's definitely making a name for herself in that universe. But anyway, she is tracking down this occultist serial killer who has murdered multiple families across America without apparently having been there, as you know, physically present. So she's like, okay, well, what's going on with this? So this becomes a bit of a supernatural horror film as well. And like I mentioned, Nicolas Cage, he plays Longlegs, and we see him in the opening, scene, which takes place in the 70s before it moves into the 90s. This is very, very steeped in kind of both of those eras, because 90s was the era for Silence of the Lambs. This movie is also giving Seven, another obviously classic serial killer film from that era. But in its tone, it is very 70s. In its filmmaking style. So Osgood Perkins is the writer and director of this. He wrote a movie called what was it called? Cold Comes the Night with Bryan Cranston years and years ago. But he also did this movie called Gretel and Hansel, which came out right before COVID. So not really a lot of people saw that. So this is really, I would say, by far his highest profile film. The marketing for this has really been aggressive, let's say. A lot of ads for this, a lot of targeted ads on websites and stuff that are all about movies. This has been all over the Rotten Tomatoes website and IMDb and all that stuff. So, it's definitely getting the word out to film goers. But it's also very, very 90s in its look, because in part because there is a huge picture of Bill Clinton in the office of the one guy played by Blair Underwood, and it's almost a co-star. I mean, like, it's so enormous. I know that was a choice, to remind us, I guess, we're in the 90s or whatever, but kind of interesting. But look, everything about this movie I feel like is very, very deliberate. So Alicia Witt also in this movie. We've been following her career since the 80s when she was a girl. She plays the mother of the Maika Monroe character. So, boy, this movie, does it compare to Silence of the Lambs and Seven? Honestly, kind of. I mean, like, these are both great movies. They're A+s in my book. And although this movie does not quite measure up to that, I can confidently say that it is my favorite movie of the year so far. I've seen about 80 movies, and this one, I would say, is the best of them. Everything about this movie is, I think, what you would want to see in a horror movie about a serial killer that has some supernatural elements. The atmosphere is so creepy the whole time, and that is, partially due to some, interesting performances. Nicolas Cage, look, I've given him a lot of crap over the years. However, in the last 4 years or so, when things like Pig came out and Willy's Wonderland, and then he had the the movie where he plays himself. What was that called? The Incredible Weight of Massive Talent or something. Like that was a lot of fun. And I've always said he's a really good dramatic actor. But when he gets into these like more crazy moments or the action type movies, I think he falters a bit. But I feel like over the years he's really kind of been able to pick the roles that he wants. Obviously, he's a producer on this. He is excellent in this movie, and he's not even really in it all that much. But he is creepy as hell. He does some interesting things with his voice and his looks. I mean, the makeup and everything. So okay, great. He's great. But atmospherically, everything else about this movie is in line too. The cinematography is great. The sound. There's maybe a few too many jump scares at the beginning of the movie. I usually, dock some points for that too. But that kind of goes away as the movie continues, and atmospherically it gets more creepy. I guess Perkins was like, well, maybe we only need a few jump scares at the beginning of the movie, and then the rest will take care of itself. And for me, that was definitely true. So you've got that. You've got the music, which is super creepy and in line with everything. The editing is really well done and crisp. And I just don't think there's any wasted time on the screen. People might not love the ending. Personally, I did. I thought it was, in line with the creepiness factor of everything else about this movie. So yeah, when the marketing is so aggressively in our faces on these movie websites saying, the best serial killer movie since Silence of the Lambs. Look, is it going to win Best Picture like Silence of the Lambs? No, of course it's not. But is it even going to be nominated for anything? No, probably not. The Academy hates horror movies these days. But when we think about the greatest movies in the horror genre of the last 10 or 15 years, I think it follows definitely goes up on that list, starring the same woman that is starring in this, Micah Monroe, and I think Longlegs may be part of that conversation as well. I was really blown away with this movie. It is creepy as hell. It is exactly the kind of movie that I wanted it to be. So I leave Longlegs with an A. Like I said, I think it is the best movie of the year. I've given, I think, probably 4 A's, maybe 5. But this is the best of them. So check out Longlegs. It is in theaters right now. And that'll do it. Thanks for watching Dan Reviews, and I'll see you next time.